He was the first pop idol I ever remember trying to imagine naked. And I was only like 8.
How can I be sure in a world that's constantly changing?
David Cassidy was definitely my first love. Most definitely.
Where I stand with you.
He did pack them in. Girls were passing out all the time, and he was really a heartthrob.
Cherish is the word I use to describe.
You just ate, slept, dreamt David Cassidy.
I write the songs that make those young girls cry.
Every day people come up to me and tell me that I made a difference in their life. It's the greatest gift that anyone can ever have.
I'm sleeping and right in the middle of
Las Vegas, showbiz capital of America. A former teen idol steps back into the spotlight.
A fantastic performer. I mean, obviously
drawing in the crowd.
It's wonderful, wonderful. This is the best in my life.
What a comeback. It's great to see him back.
I think I love you. I am a clown.
Here's a little background for you folks at home on the Cassidy family. Jack Cassidy, Broadway star, marries Evelyn Ward, Broadway star. They have David Cassidy. Jack and Evelyn divorce sometime in the mid-50s. Jack meets Shirley Jones doing a European tour of Oklahoma. Sparks fly. They get married and have Sean. David feels very much outside the family, and my dad was kind of a distant figure to him.
I am a clown.
I remember being a kid so insecure. I'm thinking about it getting, getting choked up about it, because here you're a child and you don't know. The universe revolves around you and your parents. My parents were always gone. They were always not around me. They were actors. When I was growing up in the 60s as a teenager, I started to learn to play guitar beyond playing rhythm in bands and stuff. And I started to listen to much more alternative stuff. I saw Hendrix 5 times. I was a guy who was very much a part of my generation. I had already smoked pot, and before I became a serious actor, I was sneaking out at night, and I cut school all the time, and I got kicked out of high schools. I wasn't a bad boy, I was just wild.
There was a turmoil going on, obviously, in the country, because there was, Vietnam, and there was terrific unrest on the campuses. And the Partridge Family was totally outside of that, removed from that. It was almost defined escape entertainment. When I came down here, I thought it'd be interesting to do a situation comedy that used music. And then one night I saw a family group called the Cowsills. And essentially, the show came out of that.
The teenage David Cassidy soon followed his folks into the acting business.
I don't want to go to school.
You told me you don't want to go to school. You told me until my head's ready to spin. Now your pa says you're going, and that's final.
He ain't my pa.
After behaving badly in Bonanza and Ironside, in 1970, Cassidy was cast as a clean-cut, all-American boy.
The Partridge Family.
David's own stepmother, Shirley Jones, was hired as his screen mum, with David playing heartthrob Keith. The series also featured teen model Susan Day and 11-year-old Danny Bonaducci. Dave Madden played the band's long-suffering manager.
5 of us, and Mom working all day. We knew we could help her if our music would pay.
Okay. Begin with Vito at the top of the scene. And action.
The Partridge Family was a series about a widow whose husband obviously died of exhaustion and a natural lack of rhythm. leaving behind all these kids that looked nothing like their mother or each other. Did you ever notice that?
It's one of those nights when you turn out the lights and you sit in the dark and say to yourself, I miss her. It's one of those moods when your body broods and you conjure up her picture and you kiss her. It's one of those things for the pain it brings. You say to yourself, hey, couldn't I live without it?
There was somebody for everybody.
Well, I think so. On the other hand, I doubt it.
But the little redhead
Except for
one.
Fat Danny. No, it was. Danny's very popular now.
Dave Madden, the guy who played Reuben Kincaid, told me very early on how they picked us.
Howdy, little. This is a showdown.
He came up to me, and I was all of 10 years old, and he said, well, they'd hired Shirley Jones and David Cassidy and Susan Day. They really needed a couple of ugly people, so they got us.
I track you down for sure, like 1,000 times before.
We were very lucky in the casting. When Shirley was cast, it was almost a coincidence that David was cast as her son. Because he's not really her son, he's a stepson.
I hear it was a coincidence. To hear Shirley tell it, she didn't even know that he had been hired when they asked her to do this. Somebody must have known something.
He was sort of like a pretty boy, and he was a boy, and he seemed accessible. And the whole Partridge Family thing made you feel like, yeah, he could be your brother, or, you know, he could be the boyfriend. He was the one that you would love to be the guy who knocked on the door and said, would you like to come out to the pictures?
Mom, do you think I'll get over the nervousness? I mean, when I get out in front of the cameras, do you think I'll forget about it?
I doubt it.
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny.
Starring Cassidy, the series realistically promoted the Partridges as a single-parent family turned hit pop act. Their debut single sold 5 million.
Right in the middle of a good dream, like all at once I wake up from something that keeps knocking at my brain. Before I go insane, I hold my pillow to my head and spring up in my bed, screaming out the words I dread. I think I love you. I think I love you.
This morning, I woke up with this feeling I didn't know how to deal with.
So I just decided to myself, I'd hide it to myself and never talk about it, and did not go and shout it when you walked into the room.
I think I love you. And
That's
then
it.
comes Shirley.
I think I love you.
I think I love you, so what am I so afraid of?
Have you watched the musical numbers? I'm barely in them. I didn't learn the words. It took me, I think, about 5 episodes of the show when David Cassidy finally came up to me and said, hey, man, you don't strum a bass, you pluck it.
She's my girl, I think she'll like to do, like walking in the rain.
David sang. Shirley went doo-wah in the background so she could make money on the albums. I wanted to hum. They wouldn't let me. I'd like to have had some of that money too, but they wouldn't let me do that.
I like to say that the Partridge Family was the original Milli Vanilli, but at least the Milli Vanilli tried.
We got a song that'll knock your eyeballs out.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I think that they had some damn good pop songs. Some were really bad, but a lot of them had the basic things you need in pop. A catchy chorus, simple romantic lyrics.
They say that breaking up is hard to do.
Now I know that it's true.
Don't say that this is the end.
Instead of breaking up, I wish that we were making up again.
I remember Jeff Beck came up to me and he went, shit, man, I had no idea you could play. And I thought, gee, that's kind of interesting. The perception is that I can't really play. Well, what do you think I've been doing? I guess from television, the rest of the kids in the show and the people in the show couldn't really play. The people were surprised that I could actually play.
Mom, I wish you wouldn't stuff your ears every time we play. It's very discouraging.
Can I help it if I'm a music lover?
The first time that I knew we're famous, we're at a parade in Cleveland, Ohio. Oh, it was insane. There's a parade where they had the biggest crowd ever was 50,000 people. Partridge Family was so huge, they brought in security for 100,000 people. 500,000 people showed up. And we were on a fire engine, which got flipped over. Susan Day's clothes were ripped off like that. David Cassidy had chunks of his hair either cut off or just ripped out. And I thought, hey man, we're famous.
I said, oh, rock me, baby, hold me oh so tight.
The level of fame that David had was more than incredible. At the beginning of it and as it started to roll, I mean, we'd kind of look at each other and go, my God, this is phenomenal.
What would you do, Teresa, if you had the chance to meet David Cassidy in the flesh?
I don't think I'll be able to say anything. I think I'll be too nervous. You just don't expect to meet him personally. If you did, you know.
Hi there. Hi there.
I didn't want to be famous. For me, the ambition was really about doing something that made me tick, that made me the juices flow. And that was acting, that was writing, that was singing, that was performing.
Don't know how many times I wish that I had told you. You don't know how many times I wish that I could hold you. You don't know how many times I wish that I could mold you into someone who could cherish me as much as I cherish you.
Plain, ordinary, wishful dreaming.